We left off last video getting our DDG location object up and running, well, at least the start of it. We're going to add more to that as the project goes on. But now let's create our DDG profile, which is basically more of the same from here. In fact, so similar, I'm going to copy the whole thing. I'm just going to, I'm not going to pretend like I don't do some dangerous stuff sometimes in my programming. Because when I say dangerous, copy and paste errors like this, where you're copying and pasting the whole thing, is you will have copy paste errors. You will make mistakes. So it is a little dangerous, but like I said, I'm not going to, even though you probably should teach, here's the proper way to do it. I'll tell you the proper way to do it, but I'm not going to lie to you. If I was like doing this, I would absolutely just copy and paste all that because I have the structure, and you'll see we're going to do like a lot of the same stuff. So it's kind of one of those like do as I say, not as I do kind of things, maybe. But like I said, we're going to have the same structure where we have our constants, our properties, and then we're going to initialize it from a record, right? So a lot of the same stuff, except we're just going to replace this with the profile stuff. So name is not name here. It is first name, except the K first name should be capitalized. And then description should be K last name. And then we don't have a square asset. We have K avatar. And then we have K company name. And then we have K bio. And then we have K is checked in. And how I just rattle that off is obviously I've built this app like twice now. I've looked at it a lot. But what again you would do is like you could pull up your CloudKit or your design just to make sure you have everything. Okay, so now I got to make sure I have these strings correctly. See, that's one of the copy paste mistakes. I almost moved on without changing the strings, right? Big no. First name, capital N. Last name, and then avatar, and then company name. And again, remember, these are the keys that you have. If I go back to CloudKit, if I go back to DDG profile, what you have here needs to match exactly what these strings I'm typing, just to be clear on that. So back to Xcode, this is bio, and then this is checked in. So first name, last name, avatar, company name, bio is checked in. Cool. My constants, good to go. And then now let's kind of do the same thing here. First name, last name, avatar. Avatar is a CK asset. Let's get rid of that CK asset. What's after avatar? Company name, bio. And I know I'm going to change the types here in a second. And then is checked in. So let's get rid of phone number. I know we're going to get a lot of errors. So double check. We do want the CK record ID again, so we can reference that. First name is a string. Last name is a string. Avatar is a CK asset. Company name is a string. Bio is not a CL location. Bio is a string. And then we forgot one. Let is checked in. CK record dot reference. It's not just like you can't just type CK reference, right? You got to do CK record dot reference. And then we're going to give that, it's going to be optional, because remember, if you're not checked into a location, it's nil. So we're going to make it optional, but we're going to give it a default value of nil. That way we don't have to initialize this with an is checked in. Like it's just nil from the start. The only way it's not nil is if the user is tapped, hey, I'm checked in here, then we give it a reference. So we're fine having it nil there. So again, moving on down the list here, CK record ID is fine. Here's how I usually do this. I'm going to go down this left side first and then down this side. So I do first name, delete that, last name, and then avatar, and then company name, bio, and then we don't initialize it with an is checked in, so we're good there. We can get rid of the rest of these, and then, oh man, these are all messed up. What did I mess up on company name? Oh, it's the type that it is. Okay. I thought because it didn't go green, I thought I like misspelled the name. So I'm going to line these up real quick. I know. Multi-line cursor editing. I know, guys. I know. Trust me. Anyway. Okay, so now our constants are not DDG location K name. Here we go. I'll hold option, drag down here to what you want. And then now I can do profile. All the keyboard shortcut people are going to be happy. Now this is first name. And then this is going to be last name. And then this is going to be avatar, company name, bio. Now I go through and make sure my types are right? First name is a string. Last name is a string. Avatar is a CK asset. Company name is not a CK asset. Company name is a string. And then again, we'll nil coalesce it and do the default n/a. And then bio, string, NA. That's why I copy and pasted all that, because I had that structure and could just fly through that real quick rather than typing everything out again. But this is the basic structure of our DDG profile. Again, we're going to come back and edit this a bit when we need to, because like I said, I do want my MemberWise initializer on DDG profile. So I'll have to create an extension and do all that. And the reason I do want that is because we are creating DDG profiles when a user creates their profile for the first time. We create the DDG profile from all of their information, turn that into a CK record, send it up to CloudKit. So we will come back and tweak this, but again, just the general structure of that. So now that I have my location, my profile here, let us create some mock data. So now click the model folder, right click, new file. I'm gonna call the Swift file, call this mock data, hit create. There we go. I'm going to call this struct mock data. I believe we need to bring in CloudKit because we're gonna be like having CK asset and all that stuff. So now what I want to do is on mock data, static var location that is of type CK record. And what we're doing here is creating a computer property that will return a record. And the record that we return here, because we're going to create the location with all the data, will go into our initializer here that takes in a CK record. And it'll make more sense once you see it in action once we're done here. But let's write it out first. So let's create our record here. Let record equal CK record, and we'll initialize that with a record type that takes in a string called DDG location. Again, this has to match the record type name you have up on CloudKit, and then we'll return record. Do a Command B, make sure we're all good to go. Cool. So now let's give this record some dummy data here. So we have record. And then you'll see we do DDG location.k name. Again, this is us using those constants that I said were going to come in handy. Equals Sean's Bar and Grill. Right. This is us kind of like creating. If we were to create a location in the app, you can see this is how you would do it, and then you would pass up the record. But we're just kind of creating this dummy data real quick. Record DDG location.k address. I'll say equals 123 Main Street. You can just put in whatever you want here, but I am putting in stuff that I want to like test my UI, right? Because like I said, the whole reason we're creating this is so we can replace that hard-coded stuff we did in our UI before with an actual location record. That way, when we download a real record from the CloudKit, we just replace that and we're good. So that's why I'm doing this. Plus, you can do this for previews. It'll make your previews actually show something. Again, you'll see it in action. So K description equals. This is a test description. Isn't it awesome? Not sure how long to make it to test the 3 lines. And you can come back and like tweak this if you want. So now let's do record DDG location.k website URL, and we can do https://seanallen.co. Put in like apple.com or some website in there to test that. Record, and we're just going to put in a dummy location here, location.k-location. It confused me for a second. Equals, and this is again a CL location. You initialize that with a Latin long. And what I'm going to do is if we go back to our views, our screens, go to your map view here. Oh boy, get out of here, preview. I have the latitude and longitude of the San Jose Convention Center. We'll just put that in there. Again, it's just mock data. We're just trying to, test out the UI. But when we test out our map pins, we'll at least have a real location. Like if I just put 0, 0, I don't know where the hell that is in the world, but at least I know when I test my map location, my map pins, I should see a map pin using my dummy location on the San Jose Convention Center if I use this latitude and longitude. So again, when you're making your dummy data, just kind of like keep things in mind on like how you want to, test your UI. And then I'm not going to create a phone number because I would have to put in a fake phone number. Like what I did when I was actually testing this though, is I put in my phone number. Obviously not going to do that on the course. So maybe you want to put in your phone number to test the phone thing if you want. And that's just a string. So for example, it would be, I'll do one just to show you, but I'm not actually going to put a phone number in there. Okay. Phone number equals, for you it would be, I guess, I don't know about country codes and all that stuff. That's different all around the world. But just if you're in the US, it would be like 111-123-1234, right? So you would put like your phone number in there if you wanted to test the phone number from kind of this mock data. And then we're not going to worry about like the banner asset and the square asset. Those will just be nil. And we'll have our placeholder images to handle that. So this is the mock data.location. That's how we'll access it. You see, we're creating the record of record type DDG location. We use the key value pairs again. So our keys we have in our constants that we did before, and then we give it a value. And then, come on, Sean, you're slipping here. Okay. So, and then you give the key value pair a value, right? So that's how you create that. And then we return the record. So now when we do mock data.location, this is the record we'll get. And now let's talk about updating our UI from our dummy data so you can see this mock data in action. So I'm just going to go through the screens, map screen. I don't think we're using location here yet. Okay. So let's go to location list view. Okay. So here we're just using the for each 0 through 10. So we can kind of mock this up here. So now in our struct here, our location list view, let's do @state private var locations. And that is of type an array of DDG location. So now I'll populate this with just one DDG location record here. And now we have a way to create a record now that we have our mock data.location. And I'm only going to put one in here because you'll see when we do this for each, we need to have an identifier, which we don't quite have for our objects yet. That'll come in a later phase. So instead of doing for each 0 through up to 10, we're actually going to use locations. And then I do need an ID in SwiftUI. So SwiftUI knows how to differentiate the objects in the list. So we'll do CK record ID, which is in fact a UUID. So this is take every locations in this array, take their CK record ID, which is again UUID, and that's how we'll determine it. And again, the reason I'm only doing one is because our mock data here, they're all going to have the same record IDs. So it's going to break SwiftUI's list. So that's why I only put one in there. But as long as I can see one cell, like I can see the UI like in action. So now that we've replaced that, just give me 10 cells with, hey, give me however many locations I have. Now let's actually run this on the simulator. Hopefully I didn't break it to make sure this aspect of refactoring worked. And then what we need to do next is actually pass in a location to our location cell to populate the cells. So I guess the way we'll see if this worked is if there's only one cell, but we're still going to see our dummy data because we haven't updated our cell yet. But okay, cool. We see one cell instead of the 10. So that is in fact working using just the count of this locations. Cool. So now let's go to our location cell, fix all that, and then pass in a location here to the location cell. So up here, if I go to cells, location cell, get rid of this. So now location cell is going to take a var location, which is of type DDG location. Cool. Command B. Now we're going to get failed because we don't have all that, but the image, we're still going to use the default square asset for the image. And the reason being is because we haven't implemented the logic to convert a CK asset to an image yet. That's coming in a future video. So we will revisit this cell to handle the image, but for right now, just use the default square. And then instead of hard coding the location name here, we want to do location.name. And then, of course, we'll later on in the video, we'll retrieve all of the users that are there, and then we'll handle that. So now here the location cell for the preview needs a location. Again, I'll open up the canvas so you can see this. And again, this is another reason why we created the mock data, because you'll see for the UI, okay, you can't do it because you don't have this. So I need DDG location, again, initialize that with a record. And then again, we want mock data.location to pass in that record. So now when I run the preview, it should work. Of course, previews, okay, well, it's saying I'm missing a parameter argument for the location cell. So if you click on that, so now when we pass in a location cell, we need a location. So hit the fix it. It's going to give me my location initializer. However, we don't want to call this item anymore. That's what we called it before. Now let's actually call this location. Just a single location, not plural. Because what this is this is iterating through my array of locations, and for every location, create a location cell. So that's what this location is. So I just want to pass in that location. There we go. Okay, so now I resume on this preview. See if my previews are up and running now. Again, previews can be quite a headache. Okay, so that preview still looks good, but now let's go to location cell to make sure everything's good here. We'll minimize this. There you go. There's my location cell, and you can see it says Sean's Bar and Grill. So that is my test data, even though you can't really see anything else. So as far as we can go now, we have our location cell having being fed a location and populating that. Again, we'll come back to the image and the avatars. That's just later down the road. Where we'll actually make a big difference here is if we go to location detail view. Again, if I pull up the preview, right, there's a lot of stuff here that we can fill with the dummy data. So the location detail view now will take a var location. Again, we're going to refactor later into view model, all that good stuff. Now, again, we're going to keep the banner image the default, but now instead of in the address view, instead of actually doing that, we can do location.address. Cool. And then instead of all this description, get rid of that, do location.description. Again, now you're starting to see what I was talking about, how we're just going to feed in our real data when we get it. Our buttons are going to be fine. So a lot of the stuff is going to go on. We're going to create functions for what happens when we tap the location button, And here, well, this is automatically doing a link. Okay, yeah, but instead of apple.com, we can go to location.website URL, do a Command B to make sure we're still good. I'm going to minimize this to do that. And then again, we're going to have a button action for, when we call them, and that's when our phone number will come into play. We don't quite have that yet. And then, yes, we'll obviously get our list of users later on. Navigation title is not location name. Now it's, well, kind of location.name. There we go. And then our location view for the preview purposes takes in a DDG location, which again, now you're starting to see the value of why you have that mock data coming nice and handy, and it's nice and neat. I mean, you could, initialize that record in here and make your preview all cluttered, but, I like it nice and neat, one line. And then double check location action button, nothing goes on there. Avatar view, nothing, address view, nothing, description view, nothing. Okay. So now what we're going to have to do, now that we have a location on our location detail view, let's hit resume, and our preview should show all of our test data, or not. Oh, it's because we still have an error here, and that is on our location list view. When we go to, right, in the navigation link, the destination is location detail view. However, our location detail view now takes in a location. And the location we want to take in, again, this list is iterating through our array of locations. For each location, create a navigation link, that wraps a location cell. And we want that location detail view to go to whatever location we tap. Basically populate the location detail view with that location. So now if I go to location detail view, I should see our preview populating with our dummy data here, or the mock data that we put in there, right? So there you go. You see Sean's Bar and Grill, 123 Main Street. This is a test description. Isn't it awesome? Not sure how long to make it to test 3 lines. Obviously not long enough. You can go back and fix that if you want. But now we have our location. And then now when it does come time to build the phone, the location stuff, we already have, location coordinate. Anyway, so that is as far as we can go with kind of getting our UI ready now. And again, it's like an evolution of the code. We started with just random mock data. Now we're plugging in an actual location, and then we'll plug in like our real data. So I'm going to run back through real quick before we wrap up the video. DDG location looks good. We got more coming here. Same thing, more coming on the profile, but for now we're good. Mock data, got what we need there. And then let's run detail view. Did I forget anything? No, we're good there. Again, there's more to come though. And then location cell. Yeah, pretty sure I got everything there. And I always make sure that I don't have any like weird spacing issues. Make sure my code is still looking nice and neat there. So, all right, that wraps up building our model for the DDG location, DDG profile. We created some mock data. And like I said, we continued on the evolution of our UI, getting it to the point where there's real data flowing in, which is coming up very, very soon.